your big story breakdown. In tonight's Big Story Breakdown, we're covering the Oklahoma Secondary School Activities Association Board of Directors. A measure aiming to shake up the organization failed today in the Senate.
It was a goal the governor laid out in his State of the State address. Fox 25's Paige Taylor breaks down the debate surrounding the OSSAA.
In Governor Stitt's State of the State address, he called for the elimination of the OSSAA. But as today's Senate Education Committee meeting showed, lawmakers are divided on what to do with this association.
It's time to eliminate the OSSAA and secure our progress with open transfer.
That was Governor Stitt's call to the legislature a month ago during his State of the State address. State Senator Ali Seyfried brought forth an amended bill that would restructure the board of directors for OSSAA, being made up of appointees from the House Speaker, Senate Pro Tem, and the governor, including 2 parents. Some were for the bill.
This is not abolishing the OSSAA. This is not getting rid of. This is not the legislature taking over. We don't want to do that.
But this bill ultimately failed in a 6-4 vote. Senator Hicks changed her yes vote to a no at the last second after debating in favor of the bill.
I'll be supporting this, and I hope that we can get some resolution to ensure that families have adequate representation to be able to allow their children to enjoy athletic competition.
Others debated against it and expressed their concern.
I think what we're dealing with here is unintended consequences from open transfer. And I think the OSSAA has been flooded with requests that maybe they were a little slow getting back on. But I would really like to see some more time before we actually put this in a form of a statute.
Seyfried says she thought her bill was a good balance.
I mean, obviously, I think you saw the committee side with non-elected bureaucrats over parents and students, and so that's very disappointing.
There was a bill filed by another senator to completely eliminate the OSSAA, but that bill has not been heard yet and would need to be heard this week to move forward this session. Reporting at the state capitol, I'm Paige Taylor.
And with that measure failing to pass today, we asked Governor Kevin Stitt if he will take action on his own to eliminate the OSSAA if legislators don't get it done. The governor's office did not answer that, but did say Stitt is confident the reform will happen this year. And he's grateful to Speaker Kyle Hilbert for spotlighting the most recent appalling decisions by the OSSAA. The governor is urging the legislature to deliver lasting reform that puts students and parents first. Now we want to hear from you. Should lawmakers get rid of the OSSAA? This is our poll up on Facebook right now where you can go vote. So far, 71% of you say no, while 15% say yes.
There's another way we could see OSSAA reform brought up in the legislature. Speaker Kyle Hilbert filed House Bill 4507, titled the Oklahoma State Sports and Athletics Act of 2026. Currently doesn't have a lot of language in it, which will allow changes to be made. However, the measure does say it would take effect November 1st. Now, this shakeup comes after the governor called for the elimination of the association during his final State of the State address.
Last year, we heard stories of students who follow the rules, did everything right to transfer schools, and yet the OSSAA denied them the chance to play basketball at their new school. Their parents had to hire a lawyer and go to court just so their kids could get to play at their new school. That's unacceptable.
During his address last month, the governor said Oklahoma's open transfer policy designed to help students succeed and switch out of failing school districts, but OSSAA makes that process harder for student athletes.
The board of OSSA responded to the governor's call to eliminate the organization. In a statement, the association told us every major decision, policy, and rule is shaped by Oklahoma schools. The executive director, David Jackson, says while they are disappointed the governor didn't reach out to them to learn how the OSSAA operates, they welcome the opportunity to visit with him at any time. Another senator has filed a bill to eliminate the OSSAA entirely. Senate Bill 1890 aims to replace the association with a new state-run entity, the Oklahoma Athletics and Activities Commission. This commission would include the state superintendent, parents, school administrators, and athletic directors appointed by state leaders. The measure also seeks to repeal the rule requiring many transfer students to sit out a year before competing.
I've coined the term, they're the slumlords of our athletics in Oklahoma, because they're all about the money and they don't care about the kids.
Senator Casey Murdoch there says the new commission would be self-funded and would not cost taxpayers. This bill, though, has not yet been heard in a committee.
Tensions with the OSSA began to grow after 5 high school boys were ineligible to play for their upcoming basketball season last fall. In August, the association received allegation Glencoe's new basketball coach, Garrett Schubert, recruited them to come play for him, violating what's known as the linked rule, making the players looking to transfer ineligible to play for a year. Now, Schubert and parents, however, say recruiting never occurred. They also say the OSSAA executive director gave the boys the okay to participate in summer team camps with Glencoe before June 1st, as long as they followed the transfer process.
As soon as the portal opened from the State Department on June 1, they put their names in the portal. They did everything right. I have a document from my regional accreditation officer from the State Department of Ed that says you cannot enroll a student until their first day of attendance. And why the board does not want to look at that today, I have no idea, but I will not break the law.
At the time, the board did not vote to approve the boys' appeal, and Glencoe School's attorney said they would file a lawsuit against the board.
The rules are very vague, and so it can be applied in different ways, so it's very confusing as a parent. We are operating in good faith and want to follow the rules. My son made a choice to change his schools, and he operated in the transfer policy. We submitted all the documentation needed. We feel like his eligibility should not be taken away.
At the time, many families also filed lawsuits against the OSSAA. The incident sparked concerns for several lawmakers about the association's unchecked authority and need for legislative oversight.
In November, a judge ruled 4 of the players are eligible to play this season after a settlement was reached between the families and OSSAA. Officials say after the board denied the players' eligibility, a judge issued a temporary restraining order allowing the boys to play. After the ruling, both parties entered into a settlement where OSSAA agreed to give final letters of eligibility to the 4 boys. And tonight, a judge has struck down part of another OSSAA rule that required some private schools to compete in divisions higher than their normal enrollment.
Fox 25's Leighton Letterman explains this decision could change how high school sports are structured all across the state.
For years, OSSAA bumped some private schools into higher divisions, a policy known as playing up. The rule was designed to address concerns that private schools, which can select their students, may have competitive advantages. Friday, a district court judge struck down that portion of the rule. If the ruling stands, schools will be classified strictly by enrollment. In a statement to News Channel 8, OSSAA said the decision is not yet final. The private schools that won the case must now draft the final written order for the judge to review and sign. State Representative John Waldron says the debate comes down to structural differences between public and private schools.
Anytime we try to claim that a public school and a private school are entitled to the same treatment, when the private school is not held to the same level of accountability and transparency as the public schools, then I think you're benefiting the 5% in the private schools at the expense of the 95% in the public schools.
Waldron, who says he attended private school, points to differences between the two systems.
I do recognize that the private school that I attended could recruit students for their sports teams, and that's an inherent advantage public schools don't have.
Private schools, however, argued the rule treated them differently under the law, violating equal protection. If this case is concluded, OSSAA says it will begin developing a new classification plan to address concerns not covered by the current system.
That was Leighton Letterman reporting. For now, OSSAA says student athletes and coaches won't see any changes this spring. The longer-term impact will depend on how the final court order is written in the coming days. We did get a statement from the president of OSSAA saying if the case is concluded, they will begin to develop a new classification plan that addresses several concerns not covered by the current system.
That's your big story breakdown. You can learn more about Senate Bill 2005 and the governor's response on OKCFox.com.
Plus, you can watch all of our previous big story breakdowns on our YouTube page. Just scan the QR code on your screen or search OKC Fox.